A closer look at some of the world's most expensive and exclusive art and collectibles. These days, auctions are dominated by works by Pablo Picasso, Gerhard Richter, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Andy Warhol, and a host of other well-known artists. But this wasn't always the case. Before a few decades ago, the Old Masters category, which includes artists active between the 14th and 18th centuries, was the exclusive topic of conversation. Despite losing some of its lusters, the category continues to break several auction records, with works often selling for hundreds of millions of dollars. Both public auctions and prominent private museum acquisitions of pieces by major figures in art history, such as Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Rembrandt, and Peter Paul Rubens, among others, have garnered media attention. Below is a list of the top Old Masters sales that have defined the market in comparison to the others it has been rated alongside. Number 10. Portrait of a Halberdier by Jacopo Pontormo, 1529-1530. Italian Mannerist Jacopo Pontormo's 16th-century portrait of a young man wearing military garb was sold at Christie's New York in 1989 and paid $35.2 million to the J. Paul Getty Museum in California. It was anticipated to sell for $20 million and was thought to be a portrait of either nobleman Francesco Guardi or Florentine Duke Cosimo I de' Medici. Andrea Mantegna's Adoration of the Magi, which sold for $10.5 million at Christie's in 1985, set the previous record for an Old Masters painting sold at auction at the time of the sale. The picture has been on display at the Frick Collection since 1970 before going up for auction. Executors for New York philanthropist Chauncey Devereux Stillman's estate sold it. Number 9. A View of the Rialto Bridge in Venice by Francesco Guardi, from the 1760s. An enormous Francesco Guardi painting from the 18th century depicting a panorama of Venice was purchased by an unidentified bidder for a record-breaking £26.7 million, $43 million, in 2011 at London Sotheby's. The canvas, which was painted in the middle of the 1760s, was passed down via the Guinness family, who later sold it at auction. It sold slightly more than its £25 million projection, outperforming expectations. Number 8. J. M. W. Turner, Campo Vaccino in Modern Rome, 1839. The Modern Rome Campo Vaccino painting by J. M. W. Turner sold for £29.7 million in 2010 at Sotheby's, the second highest price ever realized for the British artist at auction. Dealer Hazlitt, Gooden and Amp, Fox placed the winning bid on behalf of the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, where the artwork is now permanently housed. On the occasion of the purchase, Scott J. Schaefer, the Getty's curator of paintings at the time, told the New York Times that it was the best Turner of all time. The painting, which was sold from the Rothschild family collection, shows off Turner's technical skill while portraying an Italian city. In the 171 years after it was finished, the artwork had only once been sold on the open market before Sotheby's auction. Number 7. Rome's Mount Aventine as seen by J. M. W. Turner in 1836. Rome, from Mount Aventine by British artist J. M. W. Turner set a record for the artist in December 2014, when it sold for £30.3 million, $47.6 million, at Sotheby's London. Turner became the most expensive British artist of all time because of this work, which was created for the publisher and friend of the artist, John Pye. Number 6. Raphael, Young Apostle's Head, c. 1519-1521. A 16th-century drawing by Renaissance master Raphael sold for $47.8 million. In December 2012 at Sotheby's London sales room following a 17-minute bidding war between 4 participants, the stunning selling doubled its pre-sale estimate and established an auction record for the artist. The piece, which had been part of the prestigious Devonshire collections at Chatsworth House in Bakewell, England, since the early 18th century, was sold for a price that was 3 times its low pre-sale estimate of £10 million. The biblical picture The Transfiguration, which is housed in the Vatican Museum, was the artist's final painting, and this piece served as a study for it. Number 5. Raphael, Tia. 1510, head of a muse. Raphael received a commission from Pope Julius II's court to create murals for the Stanza della Segnatura, the papal office, and the library, at the beginning of the 16th century. To prepare for the Parnassus, a fresco for the Vatican that depicts the fabled tale of Mount Parnassus, where the deity Apollo dwelt with the 9 muses, Raphael completed Head of a Muse as a rough draft. This work is considered to be one of the greatest works of the Renaissance. Casuinus Eulenbroek, a Dutch collector, was the object's first noted owner in 1725. After that, Sir Thomas Lawrence, an artist and notable collector of old master drawings, and King William II of Holland were among its subsequent owners. The piece, which was the final sketch from Raphael's Vatican contract that was still privately owned, was originally put up for auction in 2009 at Christie's, where it generated heated bidding. It eventually hammered at £29 million and sold to an unidentified phone bidder for nearly twice as much as its original estimate of £16 million. Number 4. Lot and His Daughters by Peter Paul Rubens. Approximate. 1613, 1614. The Lot and His Daughters, a biblical scene depicting Lot being seduced by his daughters during the family's exile, was painted by Peter Paul Rubens and sold at Christie's in London for £44.9 million in 2016. The piece, which had been kept in a private collection for more than a century, had previously been owned by prominent individuals like John Churchill, the first Duke of Marlborough, and Holy Roman Emperor Joseph I. The Rubens masterpiece is on permanent loan at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, after being purchased by a charitable foundation during Christie's summer sale. Number 3. Massacre of the Innocents, by Peter Paul Rubens, 1611, 1612. The Murder of the Innocents, a recently discovered painting by Rubens that depicts a horrible murder in Bethlehem from the Bible, sold at auction for £49.5 million, $76.5 million, in July 2002. The piece, which was formerly assigned to the Flemish painter Jan van den Hoek and estimated at £4 million to £6 million, far exceeded its estimate when it was auctioned off at the house's London location, selling to Canadian businessman and art collector Kenneth Thompson for £45 million. Later, he gave it to the Art Gallery of Ontario in Toronto, where it became one of the highlights of a 2019 exhibition of Rubens's early works that also toured to the San Francisco Legion of Honor. Number 2. A Young Man Holding a Roundel by Sandro Botticelli, 1480. Sandro Botticelli, a master of the Italian Renaissance, sold Portrait of a Young Man Holding a Roundel at Sotheby's in New York in January 2021 for a record-breaking $92.2 million. One of the few secular Botticelli portraits in private ownership, the rare painting was purchased by a Russian bidder, who placed a hammer bid over the phone with Sotheby's London-based specialist Lelija Sitnica at the pre-sale estimate of $80 million. The picture, which cost £810,000, $1.3 million, and came from the possession of the late real estate magnate Sheldon Salo, set a new record for the artist, surpassing the previous mark of $10.4 million set by the sale of the Rockefeller Madonna at Christie's in 2013. Number 1. Maarten Sulmans and Eugen Cockpit Pendant Portraits by Rembrandt van Rijn, 1634. On behalf of the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam and the Louvre in Paris, the governments of the Netherlands and France completed a historic joint private acquisition of Rembrandt's priceless pendant portraits of the Dutch couple Maarten Sulmans and Eugen Cockpit in February 2016. The works were acquired through a private transaction, facilitated by Christie's, for prices ranging from €80 million each. The intricately painted portraits of the newlyweds, which were finished in 1634, were a display of the sitter's support for the 28-year-old artist. The Rembrandt full-length paintings, which are extremely rare and the only ones that are known to exist, were previously in the Rothschild collection in 1878. They had last been shown in public in the Netherlands in 1956 before the private sale. Due to French law, the two paintings are legally owned individually, but the institutions have agreed to always display them together. This is the end of this video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable respos in our comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel.